Good morning from Park Delta Bay. I wanted to make a little video to show you all, first of all, how beautiful it is today. I'm standing on the porch of Angels Haven, and spring is fully engaged here at Park Delta Bay, and gorgeous. They haven't mowed this week yet, so our grass is long and gathering around the creek. Trees are beautiful, blue sky, birds are nesting, there are baby birds everywhere. The little wren that was visiting my birdhouse did not nest there. I think it was too close to the activity, which is okay. It's there because my son made it in Cub Scouts, or made it with Chris Taggart. I can't remember whether they were in Cub Scouts at the time. So the real purpose of this video is to talk a little bit about the house. A lot of people have been asking me if I have found any more problems, or if it's gotten less enjoyable or more easy or anything like that. And I actually have had a lot of people touring the house. We had an open house here a few weeks ago. I made this sign. There were about 25 people here. I put up this shelf, or I had it put up. I found it lying around. But the other day, a builder came by. He is a builder in Sacramento, and he teaches building at a high school there, or an adult center maybe. I wasn't really clear which. Maybe both. And he walked around my house because he's teaching building tiny houses to both high schoolers and adults in Sacramento. And he's not the first builder to visit, but he is the first builder to visit and give me a pretty honest assessment of the build. Or maybe others tried and I didn't listen. So he was concerned about several aspects of the house, and they've bothered me too. Seems a little sloppy, as you can see. The carpenters who have looked at it, who live in the park, have also made some comments. But this builder he liked the house, he loved the way it was laid out, but he thought the build was maybe a little sloppier. I'm showing you the ceiling here. I'm not even sure what that is. But there are a few things that I've noticed along the way, and they will have to be fixed. But I'm going to talk about those. And the reason for this video is not to just be critical of my builder, but because I've had a lot of people come look at the house who are building tiny houses, and I've had to say they all like the layout and they all have questions about the build. For example, one of them, a couple who is moving into the park, is having their tiny house built for more than twice what I paid, although it's huge and high-end finishes. So that's one difference, two differences. But they were shocked that there wasn't a vent in the bathroom, a vent fan. And I said, well, I didn't know there wasn't, and I showed the builder, or told the builder, and he said because there was a window, there didn't need to be a vent fan. Well, they disagreed with that, and the builder who was here the other day also disagreed with that. So the moral of the story, I was very dazzled by my builder. I liked him, I liked his wife. He didn't intend to dazzle me. This was his first full build, and if I were in Kansas City, I'm convinced that he would fix some of these problems. But I want you all to pay attention so that if you're doing a tiny house build, as a lot of people who watch my videos say they're going to do, you don't make these mistakes or let your builder make them. So, in addition to things like the sloppy sealer, as you can see, this is the wonderful Himalayan salt nightlight that Jenny Rosen gave me. The outlet is not properly installed. I don't even know if that's safe. I'm going to have it fixed. You all know about the sink. He apparently miscut it the first day I did dishes. The shim that he put on, or whatever you call it, fell off. I still haven't had that fixed. Of course, you know, he made plywood drawers and door fronts, which I wouldn't have done. The bottom drawer sticks. I can barely open it. This drawer, is beginning to stick because it's not, as you can see, seated properly. The far door on the terrible cabinet is warped. And of course, the stove should be in the corner or somewhere other than where it is, because half that cabinet is unusable. The pocket door, some of these tiles are not installed properly. I don't know if you can tell, but they're sort of rippled. The pocket door does not have a handle. I've had pocket doors. I know what the handle and the hardware should look like. There is none here. That can be difficult. I've been trapped in the bathroom. The pocket door is not properly installed at the top. I'm not really sure how to fix that. I mean, I'm sure a builder could come in. I'm gonna try and reach it. I'm sure this mechanism is not screwed in to the channel or the top of the channel, and that's the result. The door is also, I don't know, it's ragged up here. I don't really know why. I'm sorry, I'm not letting it focus. I'm very short. So, coming into the bathroom, this is kind of a problem everywhere. You can see the yellow dots in the sink. And more over here. I guess those are drips of the clear coat that he put on the pine. I don't know what else they might be. I have to, I don't know, get whatever you get to get drips off that have dried. One of the ongoing problems, I don't know if you can see, the grout is discolored. I don't really know why, but the real problem is the gaps. There are gaps everywhere. Now, the builder maintains that those gaps are important somehow. I think they're probably moisture traps. There are more here. He said don't do anything about them. He said this in a handwritten letter, which I could not read most of the writing. I asked him to send me a typed letter. He never responded. This drives me crazy. I have no idea why he put that wire on the outside. It goes to this light. I don't want to blind you. He should have run it in a beam. This beam is not boxed like the beams in the loft. If he had boxed that beam, the wire would be covered. And it looks as though he intended to box it and just didn't. That's a lousy saw cut there, I think. Again, and it's not finished. It's not clear coated. The frame of the door is not clear coated. You can tell. See here. It looks like somebody started to clear coat it and didn't, so that has to be done. Coming back out here, Pardon the noise of the wash machine. This railing, there's no way to show you this, but this railing is, or this newel post, is held to the steps by one finishing nail. One. That's got to be fixed. It's got play in it. I noticed the play and I showed it to Joe, the carpenter that did the railings. And he got a job off Park, so he hasn't been able to come back and do more work. You know that the door frame was never finished. The trim piece is missing. And also, all over the house, I don't know if you can see this, notice how the trim piece that's the top of the door does not match the length of the trim piece around the window. That's just bizarre. I mean, it's a small thing, but I don't know why you wouldn't just cut it to match. There are gaps around the door, you see that? If I lived in a colder climate, that might really make a difference. As it is, it probably lets in air. I had to have the lock. The lock stopped working, the deadbolt. I bought one to replace it, but there's a carpenter, David, who lives down the way. He just took it apart and cleaned it. He said it was not, I forget what he said, but in addition, there's no strike plate for the deadbolt. I have no idea why. It seems like it just got left out. I added this screen door. David put it on. I'm really lucky that I have a couple of carpenters in the park. So, other problems with the build, we didn't talk about the positioning of the lights. I don't know why. Maybe they were on the sketch in a different way, and so I like the way they're on the sketch. That light is over my daybed / bed, and when I lie in bed, it is bright and right in my eyes. I have a lamp, so I use that. It's great for the daytime, but what I really think is that it should be on the other side, like back a foot, or there should be two of them. Now that's not a build problem, that's a design problem. There is also a light there and no light there. So I put a lamp up there. I don't know why there's no light there. So that light over the sink and the light over the writing loft are the only two lights that service the whole house, other than the ceiling fan light, which I installed after the house was put here. There should have been more lights, and I would have to look in my email, but I'm reasonably sure there were more lights in the design. All over, I don't know if you can tell, above the carbon monoxide detector, or the smoke detector rather, there's a gap. Yeah, you can see it. I don't know if you can tell, but it's about an inch gap at the far end of the gap, right parallel with the trim of the window. There are gaps like that in quite a few places. So the moral of the story is, if you decide to build a tiny house, pay as much attention to it as you would a big house. I probably should have gotten someone to go with me every time I went to look at the tiny house. I'm one of those people that I believe everybody knows better than I do, or more than I do. I'm showing you my neighbor's RV. She's probably home and wondering what I'm doing. Anyway, I'm one of those people that believes everybody knows more than I do or is better than I am. My friend Lene Gray would holler at me and bonk me over the head if she heard that. But what happened to me was I would go up there and I would look at the house and I would just be so excited about it. I wouldn't really pay attention. I'm seeing more gaps everywhere. There's a gap. You probably can't see it, but there's a gap up there as well. And I went up higher and looked at this stuff, and they really are gaps. They're not just shadows. Anyway, I get really razzle-dazzled with people, and I think, oh, this is wonderful. And then I get the finished product, and I realize that it's not as wonderful as I thought it would be. So I end up with things like, I can't open this drawer because it is not made properly. He did not put knobs on. Joe, the carpenter in the park, one of the carpenters, put the knobs on. The builder told me he didn't put the knobs on because I didn't tell him what kind. I thought I had, but regardless, I got knobs at Home Depot and a bunch of them have already fallen off. I think it's this door, this one. I don't know which one. They pull off all the time and I have to re-screw them. So the moral of the story is, if you're going to build a tiny house, pay attention to what your builder is doing. And I love my tiny house, but I see all the flaws, and I don't know to what extent they're going to be a problem. While I'm standing here, I'll talk about the cupboards under the stairs. I thought they were going to be, well, let's see if I can explain this. This cubby is virtually useless. This cubby and that one down there. I have stuff crammed in them, but they really don't, they're just crammed in there. And I thought that the stairs cubbies were going to be open, like not chopped up like that. I don't know the terminology for that. The hanging cubby, I've got that cloth hanging over just because it's a little weird to have all your clothes out, but I'm going to put some sort of door over it. But I need to figure out how to use these small cubbies better than just cramming things in them. And what I asked for was a series of boxes. A big box, a medium box, smaller box, and not chopped up like that. And I'm not really sure why they're chopped up. I don't know if he thought they were stronger, if it was easier to do that, I don't know. Another problem is we didn't talk about the heating system. I didn't realize it was just going to be basically an electric burner heater is what that is, with air blowing out of it. It heats up the place, but it uses a lot of electricity. Now my bill isn't really high because it's a small space, but if I had been thinking, I would have investigated more and made a more coherent choice about the heat. I might have done propane. So little flaws, big flaws, flaws from lack of communication, flaws from improper building or sloppy building. Pay attention if you're building a tiny house. I like my tiny house, but I do see that it has flaws and it could have been made better and it could have been executed better and it could have been a little bit better designed. So that's my video for today. It's a little long and I'm going to look at it and I might not post it, but if I do, I hope it helps a few of you who might be thinking of building tiny houses. Thanks for sharing this little moment in my tiny life. and have a great day.